So today I wanted to share one of my favorite hidden secrets to success for online course creators, because I truly believe if you can master this one thing, you will be way ahead of most of the other creators out there. So let's jump in.
Welcome to the Course Creators HQ podcast, helping you navigate the latest techniques for creating and marketing online courses. And now, here is your host, Julie Hood.
Okay, so what is this big secret for your success? I'll tell you, I think one of the biggest challenges for any business owner, whether they're doing courses or they're doing something else, is figuring out what to focus on. You know, do you play over here on this social media platform, or do I create another course, or there's this unlimited list of options of where you can spend your time. And the best business owners know where to focus, or really can master the act of focusing. So today, let's talk a little bit about this secret and how you can figure out not only what to focus on, but some strategies for making sure that you do stay focused. And you have to decide not only what to do, but you have to decide what not to do. And sometimes I think that not part can be even more challenging, because we've been trained like, oh no, I'm going to be missing out if I don't do TikTok, or I'm going to be missing out if I don't do this or that. So building up that muscle to where you're like, okay, I'm not doing that for this specific reason because I want to focus over here, and there's only so many hours in the day, so I'm going to choose one or the other. Knowing that and having that in the back of your mind is so, so important. So much so that my course Profits Accelerator folks, we are specifically talking about this all of the time. Like, what are you focusing on? Why are you focusing on that? Where should you be focusing? And, this week we're having meetings to talk about, okay, this is where you're going to be focusing, and here's the steps that you need to actually make those things happen. So you can jump in and join us early if you would like. The next round of Course Profits Accelerator is actually supposed to start on January the 1st, but I am letting people in now so that they can get some of this framework set up and get this focused area going. So if you're interested, go to the show notes, or you can go to coursecreatorshq.com/CPA for Course Profits Accelerator. You can get in and get December at no extra charge. So it's really an incredible program for the price and how much you get. I've seen similar programs that are 10 times this price. So if you have a course and you want some help figuring out like how to sell it, how to find your people, jump in and we can work on it. I'd love to connect with you. Okay, so let me get into this concept of focusing and how I think you can approach it to use it to your advantage. And I'll tell you, I'm not a huge TikTok fan, and even if I maybe should be, there's really two things about it that kind of bother me. The first one is I feel like it's training us to have even shorter attention spans. And as course creators and business owners, being able to focus our attention for a certain amount of time and a decent amount of time to get things done is really, really important. And I also think it can be a really easy way to waste a lot of time just like scrolling through all these TikTok videos, because my kids talk about how much time they waste on TikTok. And I'll tell you, it's similar to Netflix for me, because I can lose so much time. Because I'm sure you've noticed this. When you're watching a show and they have multiple episodes with it, at the end of an episode, they always leave you on some kind of cliffhanger, something that you just want to know the answer to. So I will say to myself like, oh, I just want to find out who was in that car accident at the end. So I'm going to watch the next episode and just see who that is. And then I'll turn it off and do whatever I need to do or go to bed or whatever. But then what happens is 3 hours later, I've watched 3 more episodes. I've stayed up way too late because they have gotten really good at keeping my attention focused and not letting me, not easily making it easy for me to jump away. I think not having commercials helps them. Because when I watch other things, sometimes the commercials, I'll take off and be like, okay, I'm done. And it gives me that stopping point. So part of focus is knowing how you get distracted and what pulls you away so that you can have some strategies in place to deal with it. Because it is going to take some discipline to help yourself do a better job of focusing. And you'll want to decide like, okay, how and when am I going to tell myself no to all these other fun things that sound really good and actually yes to investing my time in my course and my finding my students. And so, okay, so how do you do this? First thing I want you to do is to decide what you're going to focus on. Because I see this so often that people are learning things in the wrong order. So they're spending way too much time figuring out things that they don't need to know yet. And I did this too. You kind of get online and it's this huge cornucopia of wonderful things to learn. There's so many things you can learn. And especially I think for course creators, a lot of them really love to learn. So if that's you, if you really love to just learn things, know that about yourself and recognize like, okay, that's going to be my tendency. So how am I going to handle it moving forward? Okay, so the first thing you need to focus on if you want to have a course creation business is you got to get a course created and get it live and for sale. And so that is why I have the 24-hour course creator program, because I want you to get that first course up and running and making you money as quickly as possible. So we talk about a couple different ways inside there on how you can set it up to host it. So one is a little bit more involved and one is like a quick and dirty way just to get it up and running. So you can get that cash coming in the door, because then that's going to fuel the rest of the things and the rest of the adventures that you're going to go on. The second thing that you absolutely need is an email list. And I know you're probably groaning at this one. Every time I bring up email lists, people are like, yeah, I know everybody says I have to do it and I don't want to. But it really is essential because it becomes one of your major assets. So if the social media accounts go down, like that time when Facebook and Instagram were down, or if some of the tools start losing their audience like Twitter is doing right now, you still have your email list that you can use to reach your people, get connected with them, nurture them, and sell to them. Okay, so once you have those two in place, that's, start with those two first. And then there's kind of 3 different areas that we group the activities that you're doing in. One is on content, and that's where you're sharing something new each week with your community. The second one is on the course, so figuring out new ways to sell it or making a better sales page or finding joint venture partners, like all that piece of pulling that together. And then the third one is the email and leads. So that's where you're sending out emails regularly and you found these new ways to get new leads coming into your business, coming in to find out about you and see what you have. So those are the 3 pieces: content, course, and then the email and leads that you are doing. So there's so many different ways that you can address these 3. In fact, my course Profits Accelerator folks, we have a 4-page document of traffic ideas that we use. And not that we expect people to do all of them, but we have some criteria that we go through. And I'm like, okay, this is how I want you to pick out which of these would be perfect for you so we can create that perfect custom plan that you're going to like to do, and not this, oh, I should do this and I should do that. Really, my only should is you should do the email. After that, there's lots of flexibility on how you can implement it. So once you know then what you're going to focus on, you've mastered a huge piece of the puzzle, because you don't have this like unlimited list of things that you could be doing. Like you've narrowed it down to what you're going to focus on, say for the next 90 days, or maybe for the next month, of this is what I'm going to do. And then from there, that helps you kind of stay away from those shiny objects and jumping around from thing to thing. And just know your brain is going to want to do that. It's part of the way it works, in that it's so much easier to start something new rather than to fix what you're currently doing, or even finish what you're currently doing, especially if you feel like, this isn't working, I don't like this is boring. And I'll let you know, like, this is where I got tripped up for a lot of years, is it was just so much easier to be like, oh, well, I didn't quite get the results that I wanted. I launched and it was okay. It wasn't this multi-bazillion-dollar launch like everybody says they have. So I'm going to just go over and do this other thing. And my brain loved that, because it fed a couple different things. The first one is I love to learn new things. So as soon as I could jump into something new, then I was all excited because I got to learn something new and try something new and test out something new. But the problem was with all of that, while I did learn a lot, I didn't get to spend enough time to get things to grow, because the way it works is you have to feed it for a while, months or years even, to kind of feed your audience and get that going. So let me just give you that lesson right now, so you don't have to go through that. Is you're going to have to kind of be okay with growing your audience for a while and nurturing them, and be okay with smaller launches potentially. Like, I love it if all of you have amazing, huge, terrific launches, but most of the time when that happens, you have a large audience ahead of time, or you have a partner who has your audience that they're going to share your course with. Just so you know, that's kind of how it works. And I wish someone had told me that at the beginning, that was really going to be important and really essential. Okay, so we figured out where we're going to focus for the next few months, next 90 days, next month. You've got that list. Next thing I want you to do is start thinking about the obstacles to staying focused. So if you can think about these ahead of time and have a strategy for dealing with them, then you're going to be way ahead of the pack. So just as an example, like my Netflix addiction, one of my strategies for dealing with it is I have my Amazon Echo come up every night and yell at me and say, Julie, it's time to go to bed. So that helps me at least refocus and make the conscious decision of, yes, it's time to go to bed. So think through some of your obstacles to kind of see like what could be happening, what has derailed you in the past, and is there a strategy that you could use to help with that? So, for example, another one that happens a lot for me is I underestimate how long something is going to take me. So this is why I don't pre-sell my courses, because I'm always like, oh, that won't take very long. I can throw that together. It'll be really fast. And then it ends up becoming this huge nightmare of a project, which was kind of what I did with my Kajabi course that I worked on earlier this year. I pre-sold it because the timing was really good, And it turned into this huge project that I was spending hours and hours on and staying up late to finish because I had to have lessons done every week for folks. So if you're like me and if you do some of those underestimating, one of the things you can do is not pre-sell your stuff, but also, if you think it's going to take you a couple hours, I double or triple that and set aside the time that's 2 or 3 times what you think it's going to take, if that's one of the obstacles that happens a lot for you to when you're trying to focus and get something done. The second one that I've seen coming up sometimes for folks is letting themselves off the hook. So maybe you've set aside some time to do a specific step and then, I'll just let myself off the hook. I'll do that later. If you find yourself doing that, then maybe get an accountability partner, somebody who's going to hold your feet to the fire and say, you told me that you wanted to do this, so let's make sure that it actually happens. And then another obstacle that I see pretty often and was actually a big one for me is jumping ship when you don't get immediate results. Because when I started, I was like, these people are talking about how they'll do things and they sell a course and they get thousands and thousands of orders, and I didn't get thousands of orders. So gosh, I guess this isn't a good idea. We did a blogging course way back in 2005. So then I would jump into something else because there were all kinds of opportunities. I'm like, this one's probably better. I'll get better results from working on something else. Well, what ends up happening then, and what happened to me for a long time, is I didn't give things long enough time to actually develop. And, it takes some time to build your audience and to nurture them and to help them get to know you. So if you jump ship on the first attempt, the first time you try to sell like I did, then you don't get that time to build. So just so you know, love it if y'all have these amazing launches. But if you don't, that could be very, very normal, and you just need to give it more time and a little more growth to build up your leads and stuff. So I'm curious what other obstacles are kind of getting in your way. So if you ever want to message me and let me know, that's one of the things that I want to help folks with, is challenging those and figuring out strategies for getting around them. So let me know what's working or not working for you. And I hope you have an amazing week. Thanks for listening all the way to the end of this episode, and for listening and following and subscribing to the podcast. So appreciate you and your time. And if you do have a course and you're like, wow, I really could use a little bit of specific advice, I'd love to have you in Course Profits Accelerator, because we have co-working times. That's one of the things that can keep you on track to make sure that you sit down and actually do what you want to do when you come into the room and we're all working at the same time. We also have Q&A coaching, so you can come in and ask me any questions that you want to get answered. Plus, you get an implementation workshop, so a new training to help you keep moving forward. So would love to have you. Go to the show notes at coursecreatorshq.com/124, or you can go to /CPA to hear all about Course Profits Accelerator and learn what's available there. And I hope you can join us and jump in for the December training too. All right. Have an amazing week, and I'll talk to you soon on the next episode. Take care.